So a really common question that I get quite a lot is, how do I run 200 plus kilometers a week? I run up to maybe 230 kilometers a week, which is around up to 140 miles a week. How do I do it and recover and just keep on running? How do I not get injured? So I thought I'd just go through that with you now, because there's a few things that I do that I think really help and really allow me to keep running that kind of mileage. So if you don't know me, my name is Patrick Martin, and in April this year I ran the London Marathon in 2 hours, 24 minutes and 31 seconds. I was 42 years old at the time, and I'd been running for 3.5 years. At the moment I'm training for the next London Marathon, so I'm putting in the mileage at the moment, building up an aerobic base. You can check out on Strava, you can see my mileage and follow along with me. So yeah, I'm running up to 230 kilometres, potentially more over the coming weeks. Yeah, like I say, which is about 140-ish miles. It's a lot, but there are ways that I use to deal with that amount of mileage and allow myself to run that kind of mileage. So I'm going to go through them with you now. And disclaimer here, I'm talking about what's worked for me and what continues to work for me. I'm not saying everyone should go out and run 230 kilometres a week. No, it's not going to be possible for everyone. Yes, you can build it up over time, but I'm not preaching to people saying you should be going out and doing this. I'm just saying this is what's worked for me. This is what I'm testing on myself at the moment. You know, listen to your own body and see how you feel. And if you can up your mileage a little bit and you feel that that's working for you, then great, do it. But don't just go out there and run loads of mileage without building up to it. And don't just listen to some guy on the internet telling you to run lots of mileage. I'm not telling you to run lots of mileage. I'm saying this is what I'm doing. This is what's worked for me. So the first one is run twice a day. I mean, that's kind of obvious. I don't think you can run 30 plus kilometers every day in a single run. I think that would be really, really tough. So I run generally around 21, 22, 23 kilometers in the morning. And in the evening, I'm running 10, 11, sometimes a bit less, sometimes 9 kilometers in the evening. And that really, really helps. It really splits it out. So, you run the morning mileage and then you get that chance to rest through the day, and then you get to run again in the evening, and that 10k feels quite small, really. It doesn't feel like much. And I find that the rest during the day really helps. And if I eat well as well in that period, it really, really helps give me the energy for the second run. And also resting as well, just don't do too much in between. I find that if I do too much physical activity in between the runs, that's quite hard. So I don't have a physical job. So if I had a physical job, I think I'd find that a lot tougher to do. If I was, walking around a lot or on my feet a lot during the day, that would be tougher, but I don't. So that definitely helps me run those double days. I normally run the first run fast, and normally at a steady pace. That's the longer run, so around 20k. I run that definitely at a much steadier pace. I've normally got more energy in the mornings. I run that fasted as well, so I don't eat anything before that run. And then the second run, I normally run that at an easier pace. It's just really just turning the legs over most of the time, just getting the blood flowing back in the legs, getting some aerobic fitness back in, and that just seems to work really well for me, doing it that way around. I know other people feel like they do it differently. They like to have an easier run in the morning and a faster run in the evening if they're doing the double runs. But for me, that just kind of works pretty well. And I've got into the habit of doing that. And as with the distances, I just feel like I've tested lots of different distances, and that is the optimum one for me. The running around 21k in the morning, the 10 in the evening. It's just the right balance, I think, just to get the right amount of mileage in, and it doesn't make me overtired. So I think that's the key, is just kind of finding what's right for you and the best pattern and the best mix of mileage for you, and also the best intensity and the best volume of mileage for each run that you're doing. So the second thing that I do to enable me to run the high mileage is to run how I feel. I think that's so important. I think that it enables me to get through the weeks and run consistent week on week of high mileage. Is that I just listen to my body, and if I feel like running slow that day, I'll run slow. If I feel like running faster because I've got energy, I'll run faster. I'm around halfway through my run this morning, and this is a great example of a run where I've got lots of energy. I'm able to really push it. Yesterday I ran easy because I just didn't have the energy. Today I've got energy. My last kilometre was 3 minutes 26 per kilometre. So much faster than yesterday. This is turning into more of a tempo type run. But I've got the energy for it today, so I'm using that energy I've got to run a really good quality run. That's how I like to do it. If I'm feeling full of energy, then I'll run fast. Tomorrow I won't, so I'll run slower. It's all about feel. Faster. And I kind of like go with the flow. I think I don't know why, but different days you just feel, I feel different. Maybe it's the food I ate the day before. Maybe you're a bit more stressed and that has an effect on you, whatever. I just feel like if I go with the flow a bit more, but have a general overall structure as well, then that seems to really help. Like, for example, I might, I do run like a one fast session a week, and I'll try and fit that in. But if I really don't feel like doing that on a Saturday or a Sunday, or whatever day I do that on, I won't do it. I won't force myself to run fast if my body is saying no. The same with the long run. If I don't feel like doing a long run at a fast pace, I generally won't, and I'll slow it down. I won't do the long run at all. I don't try and like fit square pegs into round holes when my body doesn't feel like it. So I think that really enables me to keep running week after week the amount of volume I do. The third way I can run so much mileage is that I make sure I get a lot of good sleep. I go to bed early, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock if I'm feeling tired, very tired, like 9 o'clock, and generally I will fall asleep straight away because I'm just exhausted after, mentally, physically. I've got the physical exertion of running, the mental exertion of work, I've got kids, I've got family, everything that's going on. I'm normally exhausted by about 9 o'clock, so I just make sure I get like good, at least 8 hours sleep, and that it's like so underrated. I think getting a good night's sleep just allows my body to recover and go again, and that is often like all the rest I really need. If I found that if I don't have that kind of sleep, if whatever, I'm really busy and I just haven't had a chance to go to bed early and get that amount of sleep in, I don't feel as good. My runs aren't as good. They're definitely not as good when I haven't had as much sleep. I've noticed that pattern so consistently that if I don't get that sleep, you can forget like a quality run, and I just don't, I'll generally not enjoy it as well. I just won't feel as good. So sleep is so important for me to be able to keep on running this kind of mileage. Right, eating well, and this is really important. One thing that I do is after my morning longer run, like let's say the 20k run in the morning, or especially after a long sort of 35k run that I might do at the weekends, I eat quite a lot of mixed nuts, so things like Brazil nuts, walnuts, almonds, cashew nuts, just because they're packed full of protein, good fats, lots of nutrients. And there's also probably a placebo effect in there as well, that it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I've got some really good nutrition straight after a run. I get them in straight away. I don't really use any things like protein powders or anything like that. Might have some eggs as well to get the protein in during the day. But for me, straight after a run, I really like just getting those nuts in. They've got a lot of calories as well. It's densely packed with calories. So after every run, always do that. Always get the nuts. And you can buy, what I do is I buy these big bags, like these kind of like kilogram bags of nuts, because it's much cheaper to buy lots of kilogram bags of nuts, and then just get through them quickly. If you buy them in the supermarket in the smaller packets, it gets really expensive. So just big bags of nuts really does a trick. And then, like I say, I don't eat before my first run in the morning. I'll eat the nuts afterwards. Then I'll have some lunch. I'll generally have like carbs, like just some sandwiches, some toast, something like that. Nothing special. People ask me what do I eat? Not much more than I normally would, to be honest. Maybe an extra sandwich if I've done a 20k run, but nothing big at all. Sandwich with cheese, ham, tuna, that kind of thing. Whatever I feel like, really. I don't eat anything special, and that's what people are sometimes surprised at. I don't feel like I need to, and that satisfies me. Then throughout the day I might have snacks, maybe some things like just crackers, maybe some egg if I feel like I need a bit more protein, and then I'll have an evening meal. That can be anything, just meat, rice, chicken, potatoes. There's nothing out of the ordinary about that. I'll probably have a lot more carbs than a normal on a normal day if I'm running. So if I wasn't running, I wouldn't eat as many carbs as I do. You know, I'll have quite a big portion of rice or pasta or potatoes or whatever it is. That would be the biggest portion of carbs, biggest portion of food on my plate would be the carbs, but then with, you know, some kind of protein as well. And generally I'll have some kind of like pudding as well. I'll have cake or whatever. Or chocolate. I always have, pretty much every day I have chocolate. I don't like, scrimp on things like that. Like, I want to enjoy it. I love food and I want to enjoy it as well. And almost, to be honest, running is a good excuse to eat a lot of food. So, you know, I'll have chocolate afterwards to get, you know, because I like it and because, you know, there's a lot of calories in chocolate and that helps just fuel you a bit more. And then sometimes, well, to be honest, probably every day now in the evenings, I start getting hungry in the evening, start like nibbling at things, but I like to have like a bowl of cereal in the evening, like a big bowl, normally something like muesli with like shreddies, or, you know, I'll even have like things like sugary cereal, like Cocoa Pops or anything like that in there, just a big bowl of cereal, and that's like another big hit of carbs. I do that quite late, so I'll do that, you know, after dinner, sort of, you know, 7 or 8 probably 8 in the evening, which, you know, a lot of people think that's not good to eat late in the evening, but I do. I just like eating at that time, and I think then it gives me the energy for the run in the morning. One thing that I do try and avoid is having fat muesli, that lots of fibre, and then especially before a race, I wouldn't want to eat lots of fibre before like a marathon or a half marathon. I think that, you know, it can really not do your stomach much good. So I have to be a bit careful when I have that kind of high fibre cereal in the evening, because I'll need to make sure that so I get it out of my system before the run in the morning. And normally it's, you know, because it's fibre, it does actually, you can, it doesn't sound great, but, you know, you can go to the toilet before you go out running, because the fibre helps it clear itself out. I have had issues with that, so sometimes that high fibre isn't, you know, the best thing to eat in the evening, but if I get my routine right, then I can eat that fibre, get it through my system, and then I can go out for the run in the morning and feel okay. So there's nothing special in my diet at all. I'm not doing anything that is crazy to give me that energy. I do notice that if I do eat a lot on the day before a run, I will have a lot more energy. Like, funny, the other day I went for like an all-you-can-eat Chinese meal on I think it was a Sunday afternoon, and I ate loads. The next day I was absolutely flying my morning run. I was like, I couldn't believe it. It was like someone taking drugs or something. It was like absolutely flying. I was thinking, what was that? And I think it's the you know, lots of white rice. There's good protein in that. There was chicken and that kind of thing. It's just like, it just gave me an absolute boost. So, you know, I might look into that before my next marathon, eating all you can eat Chinese before. But I do notice that the more calories I eat, the more carbs I eat the day before. Obviously, carb loading does give me more energy. I don't want to be doing that every day, so I just kind of have found the right amount of carbs for me. But yeah, it proves the point that the more you fuel, the more more energy you get the next day. The fourth reason, is it the fourth or the fifth? The fifth reason that I think I can run, you know, 200 plus kilometers a week is because I don't overdo the speed work. I don't do loads of speed work. I don't run loads of races. And I think that really has a big impact on your body when you're running lots of high intensity running. I think it can just lead to injuries a lot more than if you're running more steady, more easy pace runs. I think you're stressing your tendons, your muscles a lot more, and you get fatigued a lot more. So I'm quite careful not to go crazy. Even if I do an interval type run, I won't go 100% at all. You know, in races I go 100%, but I don't do many races, so I limit that, and I think that really helps. I really do like getting speed in. I get speed in every week and in a lot of my runs. Something that I do quite a lot is I run steady. I think running a steady pace, it's like you're running with the same kind of technique as you would if you're running fast, but you're not quite running that fast. You're not putting that kind of stress on your body. And I will often throw in some bursts of fast pace running in between the steady. So steady, go really fast, and then steady again, just because I'm utilising the muscles in my legs and my arms and everywhere that I would be in a race. So I don't want to neglect those muscles as well. I want to keep those fast muscles active and not use them. So yeah, I get a bit of everything in a week. The slower pace aerobic stuff, the steady pace, so I'm running with the same kind of form I would be if I was running fast, and some fast paced running as well. And I will do one sort of session, one workout once a week, whether that's 10 times 1k or 20 times 400 meters, something like that. But generally I won't ever do it at all out pace. I'll save that for races. The next thing I do to be able to run the high mileage is I work out how I can fit my runs in around my day. I generally go for my first run in the morning. I'm lucky enough that I can sort of swap out how I work. So instead of taking a lunch break, I'll run in the morning and I'll work throughout the rest of the day. And then I'll be able to go out in the evening again, and I can kind of swap my time around, and I'll often work later into the evening or get up early and work in the morning. What I used to do last year was do my run early in the morning at 5, 6 a.m. but I've just had enough of doing that now, so I was lucky enough to be able to swap out how I work and not have to run at 5 a.m. in the dark and the cold. So I've managed to do that, and it's helped me a lot. I enjoy running a lot more in the morning, and also I'm self-employed, so I kind of manage my own time, which really helps. I've still got to do things like take the kids to school in the morning, pick the kids up in the afternoon, if my wife doesn't do it. So there's lots of juggling things around. Weekend is not always easy, and there's lots of family stuff and family things to do. Generally on my Sunday longer runs, I'll run very early in the morning, get it done, get it out of the way. It's not always great because I'm then often tired on the Sunday because I have to run 2.5 hours or something. But I've just got to try and juggle it and fit it in with my life. That's probably one of the hardest things about running this much mileage, is that I have to find a way to fit it in. But I managed to do it, and it kind of works, although you have to ask my wife how happy she is about it. But no, honestly, she's really supportive. She really helps, so that's a big thing as well. The last thing is that I've built up the ability to run that amount of mileage over the last two or 3 years. There's no way 2 years ago I would have been able to run this kind of mileage without just breaking down. I've built up over time the ability to run twice a day, because my tendons and my muscles and my ligaments and every part of my body has just got used to running that kind of mileage. It's almost like, when you hear about astronauts going to space, it sounds a bit weird, right? But when they go to space and they don't use their muscles at all, and they're not walking, there's no gravity up there, so they start losing the ability of their muscles. The muscles start degrading because they haven't been using them. And it's almost like when you're running, it's the opposite. You're running so much, your muscles are getting so used to it, and your tendons and your ligaments and your bones, your whole structure is getting so used to running that it adapts, and you build more strength in your body and your muscles to be able to run this much. And I feel like I've got to the level where my body is just so used to running lots of mileage that it can take it. And it's just adapted to that. So that's probably the key thing, is that I just built up this ability to run over a time and lots of mileage, and it doesn't have too much of an impact. Injuries come, it's impossible to avoid injuries, and who knows where injuries are down the road for me, but at the moment I've built up the ability to run this kind of mileage. So and I feel stronger than I ever have. Even though I'm running this amount of mileage, I feel much stronger. So it just takes time. There's no quick wins in this. There's no quick fixes. It just takes time for your body to adapt and get used to it. So that's it. There's not anything crazy that I'm doing that allows me to run this kind of mileage. I'm not some genetic freak, I don't think. I've just built up my ability to run this kind of mileage. I do some simple things in my life that have allowed me to run this. I'm not saying everyone can do this. I'm not preaching to everyone that you can all go out and run 210, 220, 230 kilometers a week. No. If you want to do that, then try and build it up. You're not going to be able to do it straight out of the gate, but it's possible. I'm showing it's possible. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much.